As a lot of you guys know, the sword Zenith is the best melee weapon in the game that has the ability to kill bosses in a matter of seconds. But getting the materials for it is quite the grind, so for this video, I'm going to see if I can beat Terraria using the many different swords needed to craft the Zenith. Will I be able to make it all the way to take down the final boss Moonlord? Stay tuned to find out. Alright, so part of this challenge is that I won't be able to kill any monsters without a weapon that's made from Zenith. However, every new character that's made comes with a copper short sword, and believe it or not, it's a sword that's made into the Zenith. So right off the bat, I already have a weapon to be able to kill enemies. After chopping down some trees for wood, I walked over to the right and collected some cacti to make cactus armor. Now, there is a weapon that I could possibly get, which is the enchanted sword. So I kept exploring the right side of the world, trying to find the shrine, except the jungle was there and it was full of monsters, so I ended up dying to them. After respawning, I went to the left this time, but there was the corruption, so I died a couple more times, and nighttime didn't help either, so I waited until morning to try again. And this time, I made it all the way to the left. At first, I thought there was no enchanted sword shrine, but going down a living wood tree, just a little bit to the left, there it was. With this sword, I'll be able to farm for materials much faster to craft the other swords. I went to the jungle afterwards to find life crystals and accessories as well as some ores. I crafted a grappling hook and a gold pickaxe and then began mining down towards hell, finding more life crystals, ores, and accessories along the way. Returning back home, I crafted the emerald hook and full silver armor. Going back to the jungle, I was able to get my hands on Hermes boots, and I pretty much just stayed there until I found enough life crystals to reach max health. With a pretty decent weapon, armor, and max health, I decided it was time to take on the Eye of Cthulhu. And it seemed like the Terraria gods were listening, because right when I was about to return to the surface to do so, I got the message saying that an evil presence was watching me. Is it perhaps a coincidence? We'll never know. I teleported back home, built a very small platform, and then fought the Eye of Cthulhu. After defeating the Eye of Cthulhu and receiving some demonite, I had exactly enough to make the Light's Bane. Attacking with this sword generates a shadow slash in front, dealing damage. It doesn't have as much base damage as the enchanted sword, but I personally think this is the better weapon for dealing damage at closer range. To get my next weapon, I went to the jungle once more to collect jungle spores, vines, and stingers, to be able to craft the Blade of Grass. It was unfortunate that it had the slow modifier on it, but it wasn't going to affect me too badly. I drank a gravitation potion and searched for sky islands. I found the shiny red balloon, Star Fury that will replace the enchanted sword because of its much higher damage output, and the lucky horseshoe. Next up is to take on the Eater of Worlds, so I went to the corruption, built an arena, and then blew up some shadow orbs to spawn the boss. And for this fight, I ended up using the Blade of Grass since it's able to poison and damage the boss while it burrows underground. After defeating the Eater of Worlds and receiving more Demonite and Shadow Scales, I crafted the Nightmare Pickaxe. Now usually I'd make full Shadow Armor, but this time I've decided to skip that and go straight for Molten Armor because of the increased melee damage bonus it gives. So I mined all the way to Hell and mined a bunch of Hellstone. With the Hellstone, I crafted the Volcano, which tops all the other swords that I have. The Molten Armor, And finally, the Molten Pickaxe to be able to mine the hard mode ores whenever I defeat the Wall of Flesh. I then made my way to the dungeon and began building an arena. There wasn't enough time to fight Skeletron, so I had to wait until the next night, but meanwhile I killed the King Slime a few times to get my hands on the Slime Mount. After getting the mount, I built some NPC houses, and then made my way back to the dungeon to summon Skeletron. For this fight, I used the Star Fury first to take out its hands because going too close with a true melee sword would be very dangerous, especially when the boss does its spin attack. After the hands were destroyed, I switched over to the volcano to attack it when it spins, and then using the Star Fury for the other times when it shoots skulls at me. After defeating Skeletron, I went down the dungeon to open some gold chests for my next weapon, which is the Muramasa. Surprisingly, after opening my first gold chest, I was able to find it. When attacking with this weapon, it creates additional slashes upon contact with an enemy. Now with all 4 pre-hard mode swords, the Light's Bane, Blade of Grass, Volcano, and the Muramasa, I went to a demon altar to combine them into the Knight's Edge, and with this weapon, it's going to make the fight against the Wall of Flesh a breeze. I returned to the dungeon to grab myself the Cobalt Shield, and then went to the right side of the world to farm some tattered cloth from Goblin Scouts to manually summon the Goblin army, because apparently after all this time, the event just didn't want to spawn for me. So after getting 10 cloths, I made the Goblin battle standard, and then summoned the army. After defeating the army, I went searching for the Goblin Tinkerer, of course. I found him, so I bought Rocky Boots and the Tinkerer's Workshop from him. I combined my accessories to make Spectre Boots and the Blue Horseshoe Balloon, and then finally went down to Hell to summon the Wall of Flesh. The Knight's Edge has an attack range that's wide enough to deal damage to 2 parts of the boss at the same time, and has enough knockback to push away the Hungries, which is why this is such a good weapon for this boss. After defeating the Wall of Flesh and entering hard mode, I destroyed some demon altars with the Pwn Hammer to spawn the hard mode ores, and after mining Cobalt, or Calcium, and Adamantite, I crafted the full Adamantite armor sets. I was about to summon one of the mechanical bosses, but just like what happened with the Eye of Cthulhu, I got a message again saying that the air was getting colder around me, which meant that Skeletron Prime was about to spawn. The only weapon I had that was considered the best was the Knight's Edge, but it doesn't have any projectile attacks. I mean, I could have used the Star Fury, but I don't think I would be able to defeat the boss in time before morning, so I had to get up close and personal with the boss. After defeating Skeletron Prime, I received some hollowed bars. With it, I crafted the Excalibur that had much more damage compared to the Knight's Edge. I slept until the next night to then summon the Destroyer, and the Excalibur put in some work against this boss. I went up to a sky island afterwards to kill wyverns in order to craft wings. After defeating the destroyer, I now have just one more mechanical boss left to defeat, so the next night I summoned the twins, and just like my fight against Skeletron Prime, I had to get really close to the boss in order to get in some good damage. Now, having all souls from the 3 bosses, I combined them with the Knight's Edge to make the True Knight's Edge. With this new weapon, I can now attack at a much safer distance because it's able to swing out projectiles. Afterwards, I went to the jungle to mine chlorophyte, and with 24 bars, I crafted the True Excalibur. Once I found the Plantera bulb, I blew up an area to make an arena for the boss. Once finished, I broke the bulb to begin the fight. After defeating Plantera, I opened the treasure bag and was hoping to get the Seedler since it has a much better projectile attack than the True Knight's Edge, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get it. I decided to move on and enter the temple to summon Golem. I used the True Excalibur first to take out the arms, and then switched over to the True Knight's Edge to finish it off. After Golem was defeated, I summoned the Destroyer again for some more hollow bars to craft the Hollowed armor set. I decided that the Adamantite armor set effect was good and all because it gave good damage bonuses, but I preferred the invulnerability a little bit more. I found another Plantera bulb, so I figured I might as well try again for the Seedler sword, but once again, no luck. So I have the True Excalibur and the True Knight's Edge. All I need now is a broken hero sword. So I started the Solar Eclipse event, killed my first Mothron to get one, to then make the Terra Blade. With this sexy looking sword, I took it over to the dungeon and fought against the lunatic cultist. Once the boss was defeated, I destroyed all 4 celestial pillars, starting with the Vortex Pillar, Stardust, and right in the middle of killing monsters for the Solar Pillar, I accidentally spawned the Empress of Light. It was very unexpected, and I was about to teleport away to despawn it, but I figured that I haven't fought against this boss in a very long time, and it would be nice to fight it again, so that's exactly what I did. After defeating the Empress of Light, I opened the treasure bag and received the Soaring Insignia that grants infinite flight and better mobility, which will be perfect while fighting Moonlord. I then finished off the Solar Pillar and the Nebula Pillar to finally face against the final boss, Moonlord. So after defeating Moonlord, the video is not quite done. The last task is to craft Zenith, and there are 6 more swords to obtain: the Beekeeper, Seedler, Influx Waver, the Horseman's Blade, Star Wrath, and Meowmere. I decided to do the easier ones first, so going to the jungle, I fought the Queen Bee. After getting the Beekeeper, I summoned Plantera, and luckily this time, I was able to get the Seedler. The next weapon is the Influx Waver, so going up into the sky, I found a Martian probe to trigger the Martian invasion. After killing a bunch of saucers, I finally got it. After defeating the invasion, at night I summoned the Pumpkin Moon event using a Pumpkin Moon medallion. Killing the first pumpkin that I saw, I couldn't believe that it dropped, because this item has a 1.04% to 12.5% of dropping. Now all that's left are the 2 swords dropped from Moonlord. After defeating Moonlord the first time and opening the treasure bag, I received the Star Wrath. With this weapon, it made killing Moonlord again extremely fast. After killing Moonlord the second time, the Meowmere dropped. Now having every single weapon, I crafted Zenith. But come on guys, the video isn't going to end there. I spent so much time and effort getting it, might as well fight Moonlord one last time with this thing. I crafted the full Solar Flare armor and then summoned Moonlord one more time. Alright, that's going to be it everyone. Can you beat Terraria using Zenith materials only? Yes you can. If you've enjoyed watching this video, make sure to leave a like, comment if you've got any video suggestions or challenges you would like me to do, And of course, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.